My influencer sister asked me to delay my pregnancy so I wouldn't overshadow her wedding. Days later, her fiancé left, and her career is over. My sister has always been Sienna. I honestly don't know how to describe her correctly. You'd have to see, hear and live with her to truly understand what I'm talking about. She is the youngest of 3 daughters and has been treated as if she were a princess since childhood. That is the ideal recipe for a real diva, someone who was born with the belief that the world should revolve around them. When Sienna cried as a child, her entire family's plans had to change. If she desired something, she would find a way to acquire it. Whether it was my birthday or our parents' anniversary, I didn't mind because I've always been self-sufficient. I did my thing, and she did hers. Sienna has always appreciated huge gestures, extravagant birthday parties, concept vacations, and more recently, live streaming with tens of thousands of viewers. She is now an influencer who creates lifestyle and wedding material, so everything in her life is broadcast with beautiful filters on TikTok and Instagram. Sienna sees life as a film, and she is of course the star. The majority of it is harmless, and in some cases, enjoyable. But there are times when she crosses the line, and this time she went too far. Last year she became engaged to Ryan, a young doctor who is popular among everyone. Their engagement celebration was held in a Napa vineyard, classic Sienna, twinkle lights, an outdoor reception, imported flowers and a film team following her around to vlog on YouTube. I was 3 months pregnant at the time. My husband Eric and I had meticulously planned and were overjoyed to be pregnant. We hadn't disclosed it publicly, only to relatives. Sienna was one of the first people I told. There was no reason to keep it a secret, and if Mom found out I hadn't told Sienna, it would have been a big deal. I imagined she'd be pleased for me. She smiled and said, "Congratulations," but it didn't seem genuine. As the celebration continued, Sienna took me aside into a quiet corner to speak discreetly. And that's when everything began to unravel. She took me to the back of the vineyard, where the film crew was taking a break. Nearby was a pink LED-lit koi pond, which was one of the visual highlights for the engagement video. She began with her typical spiel about how the wedding had to be exactly flawless, and that it was the most important day of her life. Sienna prioritized being live-streamed over who she was marrying. I was so used to Sienna's self-centered monologues that I didn't pay close attention at first. She discussed the wedding clothing, how the guests' skin tones had to fit the pastel motif, and the engagement video's TikTok engagement numbers. I just stood there and nodded pleasantly. Then she abruptly turned the discussion to my pregnancy. "I'm very happy for you," Sienna remarked, looking at the camera waiting in the tent. "A baby is wonderful, but what if it takes the focus away from my wedding day?" I blinked, assuming I had misheard. She continued, as if recommending a cake taste. "I mean, you can have a baby anytime, but I only have one wedding, and yours is happening around the same time. I'm worried people will talk more about the baby than my dress." I had no words for her. She raised her chin and spoke gently, as if recommending a menu item. "I simply wondered if you could postpone the pregnancy. I mean, you are young." Sienna smiled gently and added, "Think of it as a little wedding gift. You can have another child anytime, and I only get one wedding, at least as planned." It felt like a slap in the face. She was seriously asking me to get an abortion so I wouldn't ruin her visual frame on her sponsored, live-streamed wedding. In that moment, I realized I wasn't dealing with a childish little sister, but with a grown woman who was utterly serious about asking her biological sister to give up an unborn child, so she could remain the undisputed star of her lavish, sponsored, live-stream wedding. I just patted her shoulder with a fake laugh. "That joke's a bit much," and walked away. But, in my heart, I knew she wasn't joking. In the days that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about that conversation. At first I convinced myself Sienna must have been tipsy, stressed from her wedding planner quitting, or exhausted from the glare of stage lights. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized something was wrong. She wasn't drunk. She knew exactly what she was saying, and, worst of all, she thought she was being reasonable. Eric noticed my tenseness and asked what was wrong. I hadn't planned to tell him, but I eventually did. He went silent, then whispered, "She's lost her mind." I've never seen Eric so angry, not even during heated arguments with his old boss, or when our contractor messed up our kitchen, but this time, he stood pacing in the living room, his hands balled into fists, ready to strike a wall. "Why didn't you tell me right then?" he asked, his voice shaking with rage. I merely shrugged. Perhaps I couldn't absorb it yet, or maybe I was worried that speaking it out loud would make it real. We decided to stay away from Sienna for a time. I canceled the bridesmaid dress fitting she had scheduled and ignored texts from her assistant asking about soft maternity dress options for a pregnant guest. Sienna never mentioned her earlier request again, but kept dropping not-so-subtle hints via Instagram DMs. You still haven't posted your pregnancy online, right? Maybe I'll wait till after the wedding to avoid losing the spotlight. Or, if you want to wear something really loose to hide your belly, just say so. My stylist can help. She spoke as if she was doing me a favor, a sweet gesture from a renowned younger sister. But it was evident what she truly wanted, for me to remain silent, cover my bump, and fade away from the camera's gaze. I felt increasingly suffocated as time went. Sienna was not simply selfish, she used people as props in her show. Meanwhile, I was carrying a small life inside me, for the first time feeling completely linked to something larger than myself. And she was solely concerned about views, sponsors, and not having her wedding photobombed by her sister's pregnancy belly. I began to worry how far she would go if I kept quiet. I tried to shove it out of my thoughts, telling myself I was overreacting. Perhaps Sienna was simply overwhelmed with wedding stress and lost her grasp for a moment. But every time I thought that she had actually begged me to have an abortion merely to keep her wedding on brand, I got a shiver down my spine. Eric, on the other hand, could not contain his rage. He said, "If anyone else said that to you, I'd block them and never speak to them again." But this was my sister, whom I used to cradle as a newborn, shield from bullies at school, and stay up all night assisting with her college presentations. And suddenly she regarded the child I was carrying as a fashion faux pas that needed to be removed from the photograph. Less than a week later, everything began to unravel, and not because of me, but because of Sienna herself. She shared a light ranting video on her Instagram story, loosely referring to selfish family members, individuals who don't support others' careers, and those who believe they're the center of the universe simply because they are pregnant. I was stunned. She intended to put her side of the story online first. I hadn't informed anyone in the family yet, but the video spread quickly. One of my close friends, Maya, who follows Sienna out of curiosity, emailed me the story and said, "She's talking about you, right? This is getting out of hand." Maya anonymously shared the incident on Reddit. My influencer sister asked me to get an abortion so I wouldn't overshadow her wedding. The message went viral overnight, with thousands of upvotes and over 5,000 comments, the most of which were surprised, indignant, or simply in amazement that someone could think that way. People were dissecting, debating, and spreading it everywhere. Sienna called me the next morning, not to apologize, but to scream into the phone, accusing me of betraying her, damaging the image she had constructed over 3 years, and that businesses were putting collaborations on hold as a result of the post. I remained silent throughout the call. After that, I said a single thing. "I didn't write that post, but if you think I did, maybe deep down you know who actually did something wrong." I hung up, not relieved, but not as hurt as before. Perhaps the anguish had subsided, and all that remained was a cold, crushing disappointment. She wasn't remorseful, she was just upset she had been exposed. I expected it to end with social media, but drama never stops. It went viral just a few days after the Reddit post was made. Sienna's brand partner, a clean cosmetics company, secretly took her name from their website. A gossip page that exposes influencers reposted Sienna's old tale with the description, "Someone should remind her that being a decent human is also a good content concept." The comments were a nightmare for Sienna, with people phoning to cancel her, naming sponsors, and demanding they break relations. I still hadn't spoken to our parents, partially because I didn't know where to start, and partly because I was too tired to explain. But, in the end, Ryan revealed everything, not me. Ryan, Sienna's fiancé, contacted me one afternoon as Eric and I were folding baby clothes. His voice was quiet, almost frightening. "Hey Clara, can I ask you something?" I took a break. I'd never had a true one-on-one chat with Ryan, other than brief hellos at family functions. "Sienna says you made it all up, that you're jealous and trying to ruin the wedding, but I don't really believe her. I need to hear it from you." I explained everything carefully. There are no embellishments. I didn't need to dramatize anything. The truth was horrible enough. I just spoke it as it was. Ryan was silent for a long time. Then he moaned, clearly fatigued. "She told me you two had a little disagreement over a party dress." His voice fell. "But this isn't about a dress, this is about character." After that phone conversation, I knew nothing would be the same. A few days later, my mother called, her voice severe. "What did you say to Ryan?" I tried to remain calm, but she quickly went on me. "You know how sensitive she is about being on camera. Why would you make things harder for your sister? She lives for her image. And you? You're pregnant." I just said one thing. "I'm pregnant, Mom." I'm not killing my baby just to make my sister look better on camera. And then I hung up. That night, Eric hugged me tightly. He didn't say anything, but lovingly caressed my hair while I cried onto his shoulder. I sobbed for my little sister, who had long since vanished. I sobbed for a family I could no longer recognize. And I cried because I knew the drama was only beginning. How Sienna began to lose control of the online narrative. She responded just how I expected. By playing the victim. She recorded a TikTok in her typical get ready with me style, but her voice was unsteady, her eyes unfocused, and mascara streaked down her cheeks. Hey everyone, someone really close to me made up lies just to ruin the wedding. I've dreamed of my whole life, she murmured, her voice quivering as she applied foundation onto her face. They don't understand how stressful it is to be an influencer. I just asked them to maybe consider postponing a few small things, and now everyone's turned on me. The video went viral within hours, but instead of eliciting sympathy, it exacerbated the situation. Former supporters of Sienna began applauding back. They brought up old stories about how she once shaded a friend online, requested that someone remove wedding images that clashed with her wardrobe concept, or pushed a close friend to reschedule a birthday party that interfered with her filming schedule. A fact-checking fan page even collated previous recordings and descriptions, including one in which Sienna allegedly ordered a stylist to Photoshop a baby out of a family vacation photo from last year. The deeper they dug, the more skeletons emerged. Things that had previously seemed like false gossip were now receipts. Sienna's own statements, clips, and posts. When a former close friend came out, alleging Sienna had urged her to get an abortion in college to avoid jeopardizing her senior fashion project, the reaction finally drove her away. A big brand announced the end of their partnership with Sienna via an Instagram story. 2 more beauty brands followed suit, with a detox drink firm and the wedding florist sponsor cutting connections due to conflicting ideals. I began receiving texts from family. Did you really write that post? Why did you let this go so far? Sienna's being destroyed. I didn't answer because truly, I didn't need to do anything. Sienna had done everything herself. Ryan stayed mute. I knew he was thinking. And Sienna started spiraling. She erased dozens of Instagram postings, unfollowed brands with which she previously worked, and began posting cryptic comments such as, "If they don't stand by you at your worst, they don't deserve you at your best." But this time, no one applauded. There were no words of comfort, no sorrowful emoticons, just a wall of silence and an unmistakable sense of humiliation. I have yet to hear from Ryan following the online maelstrom. Sienna continued to pretend, crying on Instagram and attempting to alter the story to portray herself as the victim. However, anyone with eyes, ears, and a shred of common sense could see who the true sufferer was. Then, one Thursday afternoon, Eric received a message from Ryan. "Can we meet for a bit?" "Nothing about Sienna. I just need to talk to someone normal." The two met at a small coffee shop near Ryan's hospital. Eric told me Ryan appeared exhausted, as if he had just recovered from a long illness. His clothing was crumpled, and his eyes were rimmed with tiredness. He sat there, clutching his coffee cup as if it were anchoring him to reality. "I used to think Sienna was just a little self-centered," Ryan remarked softly. "We met back when she only had a few thousand followers. She was sweet, full of energy, but the closer we got to the wedding, the more I realized I don't even know who she is anymore." Eric remained quiet, allowing him to talk. "At first, I thought maybe your sister misunderstood something," she said. "But now, everything lines up. Not just the abortion thing, it's how she reacted. She's not sorry for hurting people. She's just mad she got exposed." Ryan confessed he had planned the proposal for a full year, booked the vineyard, picked a meaningful date, and hired the film crew, thinking it would be a treasured memory, but he didn't realize the woman he loved saw love as a live stream event, where engagement and sponsorships mattered more than emotions. He claimed Sienna had become increasingly controlling. She wanted to know his daily itinerary, requested his phone password, and forced him to unfollow female co-workers in order to maintain their ideal couple image. "I'm not sure I want to marry her anymore," Ryan confessed, his eyes distant. "I haven't said it out loud yet, but if I have to live a lie forever, I'd rather cancel the wedding." That night, Eric told me everything over dinner. I did not feel happy. I did not feel vindicated. I just felt sad. Sad that Ryan took so long to realize who Sienna truly was. It's unfortunate that something so sacred as marriage has turned into a marketing pitch. Above all, I was relieved that Ryan was finally waking up. Maybe not everything was fully broken yet, but Sienna's fairy tale wedding veneer had crumbled, and nothing could be done to repair it. Following our conversation with Ryan, Eric and I decided it was time to speak with the family, not to intensify the situation, but to break the silence Sienna was employing to control everyone. I called my mother, sitting up straight on the couch and bracing myself for a rough talk. She picked up instantly, her voice already tinged with mistrust. "Clara, what did you say to Ryan that caused him to postpone the wedding?" I bit my lip and took a big breath. I just told him the truth. There was stillness on the other end, then a gentle, bitter chuckle. "The truth, huh? You always think you're right. But did you ever stop to think about how your sister feels? She's being attacked from all sides online. Her wedding's falling apart. Her career is affected, all because of your so-called truth." I closed my eyes and forced my voice to remain quiet. "Did you know she asked me to get an abortion?" There was silence. "Sienna's not just insensitive, Mom. She's toxic. I didn't go online and drag her name through the mud, but she went on video saying I'm selfish, saying my pregnancy is ruining her life. She's acting like the world owes her a perfect wedding." My mother did not respond. But I knew she understood, even if she didn't say so. What startled me more were the messages that followed from additional relatives. My aunt, my mother's older sister, called me and said, "Clara, I heard about everything. And you're not the first." She told me that a few years ago, Sienna urged a pregnant cousin, Isla, not to attend a friend's wedding because her baby belly didn't match the aesthetic. Isla grieved for days but never told anybody because she was frightened of causing conflict in her family. Another younger cousin wrote, "Thank you for speaking up. She once told me I couldn't go public with my boyfriend because he didn't fit the bestie group brand she was curating." That's when I discovered I wasn't the only one. I was the first one who didn't remain silent. Perhaps this is why people finally started talking. The truth began to surface like bubbles underwater, revealing previously hidden stories with surprising clarity. The saddest part? The only one who refused to look in the mirror was Sienna herself. Sienna had always believed that she had complete control over everything. In her opinion, if the filter was correct, the caption was touching enough, and the lighting was perfect, any mess could be transformed into a tear-jerking story. But this time, no one mourned for her, and there was no setup powerful enough to obscure the truth. As corporations continued to openly suspend agreements, Sienna changed tactics. She started posting healing journey videos, complete with mournful piano music, flickering candles, and the phrase, "Sometimes the ones closest to us hurt us the most." She claimed to meditate, read self-help books, and let go of turmoil to focus on inner peace before ending the video with an affiliate link to a discounted yoga mat. However, the internet was no longer as easily exploited. Former loyal fans now mocked her, letting go of negativity with a 15% discount code. One comment with over 12,000 likes stated, "Sienna needs therapy, not more followers," another user said. The more she attempted to save her image, the more she became a punchline. Ryan remained utterly silent. He did not post, defend, or take sides, and his quiet said louder than anything else. Then a week before the wedding, Sienna shared a photo of a bridal bouquet with the remark, "Whether people stay or leave, I'll still love myself the most." The responses were half-hearted attempts at encouragement from her few remaining pals. "Stay strong, girl, you deserve a happy ending." But I knew, and perhaps Sienna did too, that it was finished. Ryan sent me a single message that night. "Thank you for not staying silent like everyone else." I did not respond. I did not need to. Word spread immediately. Ryan had moved out of their apartment, taken his bags, canceled the wedding hotel room, and told the wedding planner, "Services are no longer needed." Sienna later shared a 7-second video to her story, which left viewers breathless. She sat at her vanity, eyes puffy and staring straight into the camera. Her voice, "Everyone's left me. There's no caption, music, or promo code." Sienna was underperforming for the first time. And for the first time, I watched her actually break down, not because of a wedding or a loss of followers, but because her own shadow had long since engulfed whatever was real inside her. Sienna's wedding did not happen. There was no live feed, no couture outfit, and no first look video during golden hour. All that left was a brief Instagram post. Due to personal reasons, the event is postponed indefinitely. She did not tag Ryan. She did not explain. For the first time in years, Sienna's account was silent. There is no background music, laughter, or beautifully sculpted smiles next to pink cocktails, only a hollow stillness. I didn't feel joyful. Honestly, I felt relieved but not vindicated since, at the end of the day, she is still my sister. And a part of me still suffers when I think about the little girl who used to pursue me around the yard, wailing after a tumble. The same little sister who would sneak handwritten messages under my pillow after a fight with our parents. But the same little girl grew up in a virtual world where every glance and heart reaction was more important than reality. And she gave up everything, family, love, even her integrity, to cling to a transient mirage known as the perfect image. I kept my distance, no calls or texts. My mother called me again after everything, her voice softer than usual. I think maybe I spoiled her too much. I didn't respond, not out of rage, but because sometimes silence is the clearest response. Meanwhile, Eric remained by my side, never missing a prenatal checkup. He altered his schedule, making time to take me for walks, play music for the baby, and read to my belly. All the little things that felt so warm and grounded. In the midst of the chaos, I felt more at ease than ever. 8 weeks later, I gave birth to a stunning baby boy. We named him Elijah, which means, "My God is my strength," and he truly is the light in the storm, keeping me anchored when everything else around me came apart. I did not invite Sienna to the hospital. She sent just one message. "Congratulations." I don't know what else to say. I didn't respond, not out of bitterness, but because some cracks, once deep enough, shouldn't be repaired with too late apologies. Maybe someday she will actually change. Who knows? But, until that day arrives, I'll keep my son away from the drama, and from anyone whose love is always conditional.